Thank you so much. And hi, everybody. Welcome to my presentation. I'm excited to, I guess not see you, but see that you're here. Today, I'm going to talk about synergy and signature events, a collaborative approach to thriving outreach. I am going to be doing a little bit of horn tooting at the beginning, but I promise that's not all that it is. And I can't really even say that a lot of this is because of me. I know that's kind of like a fake humble thing to say, but a lot of the systems that kind of have led to our success in doing outreach at the Armstrong campus of Georgia Southern University really was kind of set up before I even got here. And I'm just thrilled to share the secrets to our success with the rest of you. So in order to set some context, let's start with this. Who are you? So as you may have heard, my name is Jessica Swaringen. If you pronounce Swaringen any other way, it's probably not the first time I've heard that one. It's totally fine. I'm the undergraduate instruction and outreach librarian. There are two of us at Georgia Southern University, and I am the one who is at Lane Library on the Armstrong campus of Georgia Southern University. Now, what does that mean? Since 2018, I believe is correct, Georgia Southern University has been comprised of a couple different locations. One of them is the main campus in Statesboro, Georgia, which houses Henderson Library, which is our main big library. We also have a Armstrong campus in Savannah, Georgia, that used to be Armstrong Atlantic State University, had a very long name. And then in 2018, the university is consolidated to just Georgia Southern. But even still, we still have the library, Lane Library here on the Armstrong campus, as well as the Learning Commons, which is kind of like a more tech-forward collaborative facility, whereas Lane Library is set up to be a little bit more of like a traditional library for the most part. Depending on your preference, you know, it's kind of like where you can get one or the either like type of environments. But these are our main like presences across the campuses. We do also have a campus in Hinesville, Georgia called the Liberty Campus, named for the Liberty County. And we also consider our distance students to be on an online campus. So we serve all of the campuses. We just kind of have a physical presence at these campuses. And so the main campus in Statesboro and the Armstrong campus in Savannah are where we focus most of our outreach efforts. So you may, I guess not you specifically, but the royal you may see me at the Statesboro campus for things occasionally. Like in this last picture, this is me in Statesboro in my, natural form and a homecoming parade walking through. But most of the time I am in my home in Savannah. So another thing that I think is important to kind of like articulate off the top is how I know what I know in terms of success for outreach. How do we collect outreach data? And depending on where you're coming from, like what your institution has in terms of software, you might be limited in this way, but I do want to communicate like what we have and how we're able to do this data calculation so that maybe you can advocate for getting such a product at your institution, or if you already have something like this, then make use of it. That's up to you. So we collect data one of two ways in the terms of just kind of like a tally count for outreach. When it's an event sponsored by Georgia Southern University libraries, attendance is recorded in what we call Eagle Engage, which is essentially the Georgia Southern branded version of Presence by Modern Campus. And this is a system whereby students can check in to events that are posted on Presence or on Eagle Engage. And it allows us to anonymously see demographics data about our attendees, as well as see not only a total count of interactions, of check-ins at our events, but also a total count of unique attendees for a specific event or for a given period of time. So for instance, we might have had I'm just making up numbers here, but let's say that we had 2,000 check-ins to events for the month of May, and only 500 unique attendees. That would mean that we really engaged with 500 students, but we engaged with them enough to that we had 2,000 check-ins. I'm terrible at math, but I think that's 4 times, 4 times per attendee, ish. So that's kind of how those two data points are different. So there are also events that are sponsored by other campus entities. So for example, orientation at the beginning of a given semester, we don't run that from the libraries, but the libraries does bring a table and bring resources, and we take account of interactions with student patrons. So this type of thing, we aren't able to check in IDs specifically. The orientation office, we call it Eagle Experience here, they are the ones who are keeping tally of those check-ins, or keeping the Eagle Engage check-ins, like with the campus ID number. However, we do kind of have like a little clicker that keeps us tally. So we just kind of have like a general number of interactions. Now, do we know that every single person we interacted with is a student? Not necessarily. Do we make mistakes sometimes on the tally counter? Yes, absolutely. So this data is a little bit more imprecise, and therefore I kind of present it with a caveat of, you know, this number is true-ish. I'm much more confident with the numbers that we get out of Eagle Engage. So usually I will say when presenting overall data for what is our outreach impact across the campus, I usually tell people that the truth is probably somewhere in between those two numbers. So let's get into some numbers. So for the academic year, this is from June 2022 to July 2023, 36% of students on the Armstrong campus engaged with Georgia Southern University libraries during this time period. Now, here's my caveat. I'm thrilled by this number, but it's kind of a lie because, again, it includes that tally count. This is including all of the events that are not sponsored by Georgia Southern libraries. This includes orientation. This includes the pop-up farmers market run by our campus rec folks. So this includes a lot of things where the numbers may be a bit imprecise, but 36 is a pretty solid estimate. Now, a better estimate, at least in terms of events that are sponsored by the libraries, is 14.2%. We reached out to 14.2% of Armstrong campus students, and 14.2% like engaged with us at some type of event. So I don't know about y'all. I always want to grow these numbers more, but in terms of a starting place, I'm thrilled with 15%. As you may have noticed in my introduction, I've only been with the university since 2022, so I'm 2 years in, and I can't wait for this number to go up. Hitting the forward space on my keyboard, and that doesn't want to move the slides forward. So these statistics were kind of more for comparison purposes, and I realized right before this presentation actually that these are from the calendar year 2023 as opposed to the academic year, and I went, oh man. So apologies for them being a little bit weird. Like you might see 10.8%. I thought you just said it was 14.2. I changed the things around a little bit, so my bad, y'all. But for the sake of comparison, I wanted to show you kind of like where we're at overall in terms of outreach for Georgia Southern University libraries and where we are on the Armstrong campus, because 4.8% of overall outreach to students, that's not bad. There's nothing to like stick your nose at that. but it's 10.8% on the Armstrong campus. And that's a really significant difference. However, there's a couple of reasons for that. One of the most glaring of which is that the Armstrong campus is comprised of a little under 5,000 students, whereas the Statesboro campus is comprised of a little under 18,000 students. So very different ball games that we're playing with here, right? But even in terms of the raw numbers, you can see that the Armstrong campus, while not making a majority, makes almost half of the outreach interactions that we do as a academic unit. So what's going on here? Why are we, what's happening to make us kind of effective in this way? Oh, and I did have one more. From 2022 to 2023, 14.25%, there was a 14.25% increase in students engaged in Georgia Southern Library sponsored outreach just on the Armstrong campus. Now there was an increase overall as well, but again, this number I'm very proud of, so toot toot, I guess. Now, again, that's not what you're here to talk about today. You're not here to hear me brag. You're here to figure out how I'm making this work, or how we're making this work would probably be more accurate. And this is really a combination of synergy and signature events. Surprise, surprise, if you didn't get the title of the presentation today. But it's kind of a two-prong approach. So this first prong, synergy, really just means increased effectiveness, achievement, and stuff produced in a result of combined collaboration and effort. So everybody is focused on the same or similar goals, and everybody's working to achieve them in concert together. And we at Georgia Southern, the Armstrong campus, do have a lot of working parts to contribute to our success and outreach. And here are these parts. So moving from top to left or right, the Library Student Outreach Committee is kind of our first unit, okay? The SOC, as I usually refer to them, advises the library's outreach team, which would be myself, the undergraduate instruction and outreach librarian on the Statesboro campus, as well as our supervisor. So I usually refer to us as the outreach team, as, you know, we're the ones who have it in our job titles. But additionally, we have a committee who advises us on prospective outreach programs, helps us to coordinate event volunteers, and also helps to prevent double booking Georgia Southern Library events. So this would be, we have a Patent and Trademark Resource Center that recently opened up and has been hosting a lot of workshops. So we want to make sure that we don't accidentally host something like an escape room at the same time that the PTRC is trying to host a workshop, because now we're competing for participants and we're, you know, on the same team. We don't want to compete when we're on the same team, right? So that's the function of the outreach committee on, you know, just kind of the library's level. Then at the Armstrong campus, which is unique to the Armstrong campus, the Armstrong Collaboration Team. The ACT provides members updates from university administration and helps to coordinate events from various departments across the Armstrong campus. Now, this team, I believe, was a pre-consolidation artifact, right? It was an institution or a team that existed before the Armstrong University and Georgia Southern University consolidated in 2018. However, it's become more important in the time since consolidation for the Armstrong Collaboration Team to meet regularly and advocate for itself. So it has that purpose, considering we're like a, if I'm honest, a secondary campus. We have the ACT to kind of help like have discussions about the Armstrong campus and advocate for ourselves, but also it's a way to collaborate across the campus and do a lot of the same things that the student outreach team is doing, for university libraries, but for the whole Armstrong campus on kind of like a bigger level. Another piece of this is the library's communications and marketing committee. We call it CMC. And most people on the university libraries team kind of confuse us with student outreach because there's a lot of overlap there. Communications and marketing committee sets guidelines for and assists in the dissemination of marketing materials for Georgia Southern Library events, services, and resources. So our Instagram account, that's the responsibility of the CMC in terms of creating advertisements or disseminating those advertisements for events. That's the CMC. But in terms of doing all of the work in terms like coordinating said events, that's the purview of the outreach team and the student outreach committee, if that makes sense. And then finally, there is the research, instruction, and outreach department of the university libraries. And this RIO team houses the library's outreach team. Sometimes RIO can assist in terms of funding and outreach initiatives and can purchase necessary materials. Like we had a popcorn machine that finally was on its last legs and gave out recently, and the RIO department has put in a request for another one. Our student outreach committee budget is kind of pennies, and we use a lot of that at the beginning of the year. So it is really helpful when the department level budget can help us out with something as it comes up. So that's kind of how all of these different pieces play together to make stuff happen. And I do have a star by the Armstrong Collaboration Team because this is the thing that's different about outreach on the Armstrong campus as opposed to outreach on the main campus at Statesboro. We have a collaboration team that works very well with other departments. And I have a slide that talks more about that, which I will move to now. The Armstrong Collaboration Team is comprised of a group of employees from various academic departments in both student affairs and academic affairs. Because in terms of outreach, it's great that the libraries is doing a lot of outreach, but there's a lot of different players, a lot of different departments in a university system that are that are trying to have a presence in front of students and make them aware of their services and of, join our club, join our team. So you've got some academic affairs offices like the libraries, the College of Arts and Humanities, the provost office. All of those would be funneled under academic affairs, and there are some academic affairs colleges that have representation on the Armstrong Collaboration Team. I do want to say though that it's mostly student affairs, and a lot of that makes sense because student affairs is going to be much more focused on student experience in terms of like extracurriculars. And so they're going to have more employees willing to participate in such a team who have time to participate in such a team. It's a bit more of a priority. So in terms of like student affairs, we have folks from the Multicultural Affairs Office, student activities, residence life. We have a TRIO program for first generation college students at the Armstrong campus that has a strong presence at the Armstrong Collaboration Team. Student wellness and health promotion. So there's a lot of different groups that come together. Campus recreation, I can't believe I forgot them. They do a ton. So all of these moving parts come to monthly meetings and discuss certain topics which are listed under goals and priorities here. So effective planning. We want to make sure that we're planning events that are going to be of interest to students, and we're not, listen, I would love to host a workshop on citing sources. Could be very helpful for students. If I'm not presenting it in a way that is going to capture their attention, folks at the Armstrong Collaboration Team are going to tell me that, and they're going to make some recommendations for how to maybe improve that presentation and improve that marketing so that students are more likely to attend to get the help that they need. But just saying, who wants to learn about APA? You're not going to get a lot of people that way most of the time. Also, campus advocacy, something I mentioned before. That's another goal and priority of this group, is to advocate to the overarching university administration for the success of the Armstrong campus, because our student body is different, our campus is different, our needs are a little bit different. And then finally, collaboration, cross-promotion, and team development. And I think this is really the secret sauce that makes the Armstrong Collaboration Team work so very well. We have a meeting on Thursday, actually, tomorrow. Oh my God, tomorrow's Thursday, where we are meeting to look at all of our calendars. I've got my campus calendar for the next semester with this tentative dates for what the libraries is going to be up to. They have their different departments with their events that they're going to be up to. And we're going to all come sit down together and make sure that there's not any significant overlap in terms of double booking. There was one instance where we did have a little bit of an issue. There was a sensitive event about sexual assault awareness and making t-shirts as part of the clothesline project in one space. And then just outside in like the field area next door, there was kind of like loud music and, kind of like a woo going on. And the optics looked pretty bad. 9 times out of 10, the Armstrong Collaboration Team can identify situations like that early and make sure that they plan accordingly so that we don't have an awkward situation like that going on, right? We want to have space for the heavy but important events on our campus, but we don't want them to be disrupted or outshined by the kind of more fun events that are going on right next door. So planning in that way and with collaboration helps us to not make snafus like that in the future. Cross promotion is also a really big part of the Armstrong Collaboration Team. When there is something that the university libraries is hosting and putting together, and we want other departments to tell their students about it, we will send flyers to university housing, and they will put them up in the residence halls. We send something to student activities, and they will post it on their Instagram. We send something to campus recreation, and they'll have something at the little check-in, check-out counter for, when you come to the gym. So there's a lot of things that we can do for cross-promotion. And of course, when they have events to promote, we will hang a sign at the library, or we will make sure to tell students about it at our next thing. Sometimes the cross promotion even comes in the form of co-hosting events together. So every month on the last Wednesday of the month, the campus recreation team hosts a worry-free Wednesday. And since the library is located in kind of like a central point in campus, they host Worry-Free Wednesday right outside. So we saw this happening enough, and we were invited to co-host the event with them. So even though this is one of those situations where they're the hosts, they're the ones collecting the Eagle ID numbers and everything, we still get a tally, and we still get an opportunity to work with them to see a lot of students. And because of their kind of already existent relationships with students as campus recreation, then we kind of get an in a way that we probably wouldn't have received on our own. So this is a really helpful way to get in front of more students and impact more students that way. It's time for a coffee break. All right. Now, that's the first prong, is thinking in terms of synergy. Lots of different teams making working in collaboration to make the goals happen. Now, signature events is something that kind of emerged out of my work with the Armstrong Collaboration Team. As we were doing that meeting where we get together with our calendars and planners for the year and try to coordinate when our events are going to happen, where they're going to happen, something emerged called a signature event. And I said, okay, well, what's a signature? What do you mean by that? So signature events, as we understand them, are regularly occurring, brand aligned, and cross-promoted events held by your organization. These are events that are probably the most important to you as an organization and the ones that you want the most attendance at, where you want the most attention drawn. And you don't have to pick just one, but you want to like make them the special ones, the special like handful of events that you do. So let's dig into that a little bit more. A signature event is a regularly occurring event. So you want it to be something that happens regularly on a schedule of some kind. This way patrons come to expect it every single year or every single semester. And it becomes kind of like this focus point for your institution within the campus community. Folks will kind of come to associate that event with you when it's regularly occurring. This also kind of fits into align with your brand. So a signature event should be in alignment with your library's overall brand. So whatever characteristics or priorities you're wanting to communicate as part of the institution of the library, then those are the characteristics and priorities that you need to be communicating in said event. One of the events that I have poorly pictured here, mostly because I was trying to find pictures of this and it was hard to get the speaker and the audience in this in the same shot, but you'll see more pictures of it later. This is a picture of our signature event, Scholarships. Scholarships is a lecture series where we invite faculty from the Georgia Southern community to give a presentation about what they're doing in terms of research. And a lot of times we try to pick folks who are doing something that would have appeal to students. So for instance, in this particular presentation, all of these folks are tuned into a conversation about Black mermaids in popular culture, in film, in folklore. And it was a really interesting presentation of, kind of comparing the popular reaction to a Black Little Mermaid in the live action production and kind of providing some historical context for Black mermaids have always been here and, kind of diving into what all of that entails and the research that our speaker had done to that effect. So this is an example of a type of talk that would be of interest to students, but backing up to signature events, this is the type of event that is aligned with our brand as Georgia Southern University Libraries. We want to be promoting faculty scholarship and the idea of scholars come to the library. We want to be fostering discussions of said scholarship and engaging students in those conversations. And so that's what we try to do with these lecture series. And we also want it to feel kind of comfy and in a third like neutral space. This might be your professor, but there's no grades here. We're all just having coffee. We're in our comfy seats and we're having a conversation about an interesting research subject. So that's kind of like what we're getting at with aligned with the brand. You can associate this event with the library, not just because it happens every semester, but also because it feels like a library event. And finally, a signature event is something that you really want cross-promoted. You want other departments to not only promote the event, but you also want them to attend the event. Sometimes you may even want them to collaborate with you on an event. So another event that we do regularly is a silent library event. If you remember from early 2000s MTV, the game show called Silent Library, if you don't know what I'm talking about, boy, are you gonna have a fun Google search in store for you later. But Silent Library is a game show where the objective is to do like zany tasks, and but you still have to be quiet and keep your noise level down because it's a library. So the Office of Housing and university libraries teamed up to host one of those events in the library in the evening. There weren't many patrons here. The second floor was still, study space. But we took a portion of the first floor to just kind of have a fun silent library game night type of thing. And students love that. The students who are residents on campus really look forward to that one. And that's one of our, I wouldn't necessarily call it one of our signature events, but it is a signature event for housing. They do most of the grunt work on it, and we just kind of provide a space. But it's starting to kind of emerge as one of those signature events that allows us to collaborate with another group and kind of gain more participants and gain more reputation, because now we have more than one stakeholder to promote the event. Yeah, so those are kind of the three main components that make up signature events as I understand them on this campus. So what are our signature events? What would I consider our signature events? I've already kind of told you one of them. I've told you about scholarships at GS libraries. It happens each semester, usually around the second month of said semester. And there's one event at each campus, plus the lectures are streamed online via Zoom. And we post those recordings to our YouTube channel after it's all over, so that folks can come back and see them later. But we also do something every year for Banned Books Week. We have at least one major event per campus, and sometimes that changes. Last year, we had an interactive book display and open mic night that went really well. This year, I'm thinking about doing a faculty panel. The year after that, I'm thinking we might do a role-playing game. There's lots of different ideas, and the actual thing can change out, but the campus will come to expect, oh, it's Banned Books Week, the library's doing something this week. National Library Week is another obvious one, but instead of in the fall, this happens in the spring. Same type of thing for Banned Books Week, the focus just shifts a little bit. And then we also have the Georgia Southern Libraries Open House that happens each fall semester. There's one open house event per campus, and this is just an invitation for the entire campus community to come to the library, see what changes we've made in the last year. If you're a first-year student, then what is the libraries about? Those are all the types of questions that get answered there. And I would say that these are probably our signature events as they stand right now. Now, like I said, the Silent Library is beginning to emerge as a signature event, at least for the Armstrong campus. And some other events may emerge to be their own thing. Like, let's say that this role-playing game idea for Banned Books Week really, really catches on. That might be something we do every year moving forward as it becomes easier and easier to coordinate and catches on and gets more and more student attention. So these types of things can change. And of course, you might be asking, are those the only events you do? No, not at all. We have plenty of other events throughout the semester. Pictured here is a pop-up library that I did for Galentine's Day in February. We had music and trivia questions. It's just a little fun thing to get students engaged with our collection. But the signature events are the ones where we want the most attendance, the most buy-in, the most brand recognition, and the most promotion. So these are the events where we really put a lot of our energy into. Now, that doesn't mean that the pop-up libraries, for example, are unimportant. but they're much easier to execute. I just got to pull a list of books and bring them out, have some candy. We're great, right? We're in good shape. So they're not as difficult to keep up with, and not as much attention needs to be drawn there. Also, if we have a pop-up library and it's raining outside that day and we don't get a lot of attendance, I'm not too upset about it. But I really want good numbers for our signature events. These are the ones where we want to keep the focus. And the signature events, identifying those helps in terms of synergy, because those are the events that I can communicate to my partners on the Armstrong Collaboration Team to cross-promote the most. Those are the ones that I can say, listen, if we have to double book on a day that I have a pop-up library, that's fine. I'm not worried about it. But what can we do to make sure that I have Friday evening for scholarships? What can we do to make sure that we're not double booking for this particular event? Because it's very important that we have attendance for this event. So how can you do this at your own institution? Well, I have some practical tips. First thing to do, and probably the easiest to do, especially if you're kind of like, I have no framework for this and I'm starting from scratch, is to identify what your signature events are. Go ahead and do that early in the semester or even over the summer when you have time to kind of reflect and think about it. This way, you'll kind of be prepared for when you have those conversations with campus partners once you're ready to have them. Then, if you think you can, make your own campus collaboration team. I cannot tell you how helpful having the Armstrong Collaboration Team has been in terms of not just getting outreach to be thriving at the university libraries level, but just for making me feel connected to this campus and to this university. I didn't go into this at the beginning of the presentation, but originally I'm from North Carolina, kind of outside Charlotte. I had never lived in Savannah, Georgia. I was completely new and hadn't even heard. I was very unfamiliar with a lot of this prior to my arrival. And so I needed people to make me kind of feel more welcome and more part of the group. And the Armstrong Collaboration Team really helped to achieve that. So that I was making my connections within the library, but I was also making connections that made me feel more grounded and part of the community. Now, you probably aren't new at your institution, but you can absolutely get in touch with different areas that do a lot of outreach programming and work together, create your own collaboration team. It doesn't necessarily have to be formal at first. It can be just getting together and doing a walking group, meeting up for coffee, doing a movie night or something. Just kind of do something that gets you all together at first and then kind of start planning for the semester, for the month even, to try to coordinate some of your outreach together in order to, synergize and make sure everything is cooperative and everything's in line. Follow and interact with campus partners on social media. So this is something that is surprising to a lot of folks, but in terms of like effective social media, a lot of times it's not just what you post, but it's also what you like and what you reblog and what you favorite, okay? You need to be interacting. If you're the administrator for your social media, then you should be interacting with the campus partners that you want with their social media presence. This would also help in when you want something to be cross-promoted on that channel. They're going to be much more likely to cross-promote if you've been liking their content, if you've been sharing their content, if you've been adding their posts to your story and going, wow, look at this thing going on. They're definitely going to do that for you as well. So it's a small practical tip, but it is something that you can do to kind of help get the ball rolling. And my final recommendation is just to try holding more co-sponsored events with other departments. This is great for a lot of reasons. One reason is money. Everybody needs more money. So pulling your funds together by co-sponsoring events allows you to do that. It also is going to widen the potential audience for you, especially if you're partnering with a club or a student organization or an academic department that has majors, because then those students are more likely to come in and work with the library, where in most cases we don't have majors or minors really. We just kind of have all of our students, all of our patrons. So these are my practical tips for you, but of course you may have many, many more questions. One of the ways that you can ask those questions is, just kind of keep up with GS Libraries. We have a YouTube channel, our website listed here, as well as our Instagram account. I'd say these are probably like the most active ways to get in touch with us. Yes, I'm the Instagram administrator. So if you direct message GS Libraries, you're probably going to be talking to me, but I can't guarantee that. These slides, I believe I can share them with the group after the presentation is over. So these are also linked in case you want to just click on the link really quickly and jump to the page. So, and then finally, I'm open for questions. This is my email address if we don't get to it today, or if you want to ask something privately or kind of work on something together. I'm always looking for opportunities to collaborate with other people on outreach ideas and outreach research. So, wow, I've been going for 40 minutes and I'm still not tired. Woo, the coffee's doing its job. So I will open it up for questions.
That's really impressive, Jessica. You have really been going for 44 minutes, I might say. We do have a few questions for you.
Great.
Yeah, okay, so starting with Elizabeth, to minimize calendar duplication or crossover, does the library ever co-host any events? Who are those partners and how did you start the collaboration?
Yeah, that's a great question. So we do co-host a lot of events. Some of these events, like Worry-Free Wednesday, is kind of a relic from before I got here. Worry-Free Wednesday has always kind of been a libraries and campus rec do this because the convenience of the location. And they just kind of had an established relationship that I inherited. So that's always lovely. However, our Banned Books Week open mic night, we were thinking about campus partners that would be appropriate for such an event that worked with us on the Armstrong Collaboration Team. And I thought, a lot of the books that get challenged are based on concerns related to like DEI and diversity and multicultural people. So why don't we bring in the Office of Multicultural Affairs to co-sponsor this event? They were very willing to put their name on it and to cross-promote the open mic night. They, encouraged students to attend. They brought beverages, we brought snacks, and that just seemed to be like a good fit. In other instances, sometimes folks just come to us and we're like, yeah, that's a great idea. Like Silent Library, that wasn't really my idea. That was Housing's idea. And I was like, that's brilliant. Let's do that. So a lot of times it kind of starts with the event that you want to do. And then you think, okay, who else would fit in well to this event? And then you just reach out and ask them. The worst they can say is no.
That's true. And okay, so Amber asks that, well, first of all, they say they love the event name Scholarships and wants to know if it's trademarked.
It is not. And funny you should mention that because we're thinking about changing it. One of the issues we've had in terms of scholarships is that students will get confused and think it's about financial aid. So because they hear scholarships, they think scholarships, and they're like, oh, well, I already have a grant, like, or to you know, scholarship to go here. I don't need to. And I'm like, no, guys, come back, read the whole poster. But we're thinking that we might change the name to like Sips with Scholars, or Scholar Sips, Coffee and Conversation, something that's like a little bit, it has to be longer now, I guess, but thank you. I do appreciate the acknowledgement.
I had to think about how scholarships sounded like scholarships, so I think I need more coffee. Okay. Kelly wants to know, do you have any thoughts on a signature event to showcase all kinds of student creativity? At their institution, they used to have a student publication called the Coffee House Papers, featuring student art and creative writing. And they thought about having a regular spring event called the Coffee House Showcase, where students can share any type of creative endeavor. Do you think doing a submission process would make participating seem more desirable?
So first, my first thought is that sounds awesome. Kudos to you. That's amazing. Coffee House Papers. You think doing a submission process would make participating seem more desirable? I think that could go either one of two ways. If it's already a pretty well established, the Coffee House Papers is already pretty well established on your campus, and so the Coffee House Showcase would kind of like ring a bell for people very quickly and would seem to be identified as a signature event, then I think doing a submission process would be fine. My concern, if the Coffee House Papers is not something that's kind of like widely recognized by students and campus community members, is that a submission process might make it more prohibitive, as opposed to just submit to the Coffee House Papers, and out of that we'll have a vote and nominate people to, you know, present. But you know, I think if you've already got a student publication that's doing really well, to the extent where you're thinking of doing a showcase, I think you're in good shape to solicit submissions or proposals for doing that showcase. I think that would work well.
Yeah, unfortunately, the Coffee House Papers was kind of back in the day
Oh, I see.
kind of thing. But yeah, and it's a small campus and typically hard to get participation. So I don't want to do anything that would like decrease or like be a barrier to participation. But I also thought, I don't know, maybe if people thought, oh, I hope I get accepted for that, it would seem more worth doing. And then I also thought it would be good to preview just in case there's like, I don't know, something offensive or hopefully not, but you know, you never know.
That's a very good point. I think what might be good is again, kind of where you take an event and think about who else would benefit from this, who else would be into this, and do kind of like a wide call for submissions, but then specifically reach out to, if you have a creative writing group on your campus or in the English department, if you have kind of like a I don't know, maybe like public speaking students who are doing some sort of like creative component to their public speaking. And then of course, like your fine art students would also probably be a great target audience. Try to identify the faculty in those places and ask them to cross promote your event, so that those students who would be most interested in showcasing have it on their radar from someone that they see all the time.